What is up, Champion Squad? Coming back at you with week three of the fitness lies and fitness misleading uh, items that I want to talk about. So, first things first, let's go ahead and touch on the update. So, we actually have a launch date for the app, November 1st. We're going to be launching, it is going to have some amazing things. So, we have created a fitness community where the workouts are posted. I'm now testing out some of the video tutorials with the beta group that we have going right now. So far, everything's been just going great. Uh, Being able to share in the social media aspect, as well as just having a blast and being able to message back and forth with the folks that are testing this out, finding out things that are really awesome and that they love and things that we probably can adapt. And I have shown that I am more than willing to adapt things on the fly. And that's basically what I have. So I have a template of what I want the workouts to look like for the week. And as I get feedback, those workouts get adjusted. So you're not getting just kind of a cookie cutter program. You're getting a program that, based off of the mass, based off of the group in general, we make adjustments based off of how everybody's feeling. So it's really really fun. If you've been taking part in online fitness, which because of the pandemic most people are, um, I really urge you to just keep your eyes peeled for when we do launch this, because it is going to be something else. It's pretty impressive. We're going to be adding nutrition to it as well. So I actually just recently uploaded menus, things for plant-based, vegan, as well as high protein. So if you're looking at trying to get more protein in your diet, things like that, I have some nutrition plans. So, and then there's also a 2-month sequence to be able to really follow along with recipes, shopping menu, how to prep the week, all that stuff. So really looking forward to when I launch that. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this week's myths or lies, so to speak, that have been told to the general public by the fitness industry, and how we're going to squash that. So first things first, we got, I have my notes. So taking notes so that I can actually have a clear train of thought, or at least as much as possible. And then we also have, I have notes in the background to kind of keep on track as well. So first, the first one that I love, and being a former track athlete, like this is one that I've struggled in conveying to folks as well. And the concept that you can run off the pounds. And if that was the case, then you would never see somebody running slightly overweight, right? Because you could just run them off. And the concept is, yes, we want to make sure we can maintain a caloric deficit. And though the attempts to get to a caloric deficit would be increased cardiovascular work, but you can get that in more ways than just running. And most people don't realize that. And the ability to increase your body's potential caloric burn is not just by running or running more or running faster, it's actually gaining muscle. So as I had mentioned in previous podcasts, for every 1 pound of lean mass that you gain, you burn an additional 50 calories per hour in a sedentary state. In other words, in layman terms, when you sit watching TV or Netflix, you're burning 50 more calories now than you did 1 pound lean mass previous. So really keep that in mind. We want to actually gain lean muscle mass. Now, when it comes to this particular type of exercise, cardiovascular work, when you're running, it does help increase your body's heart health. It helps increase your body's ability and circulation flows, but it does not specifically help in losing fat mass. So that's one thing that I really want to make sure that I can help people understand. And too often when you finish a long run, or even if you're doing weight training, you do a workout and you justify being able to eat more post that workout. Now, if you have a budget that allows you to have a larger dinner, then by all means, get after it. But if your budget is not allowing that larger dinner, and you've decided that you're just going to go ahead and jump right into it and have like a 600, 800 calorie dinner, and now you've just thrown your caloric balance out of whack. And that deficit that we were just talking about, working out surprisingly makes your deficit, it does increase your deficit, but it's harder to increase your deficit through working out than it is to just adjust your nutrition. That's why they say 80% of your goal is nutrition. You cannot just run off the pounds. You have to make sure that you have a plan in place with your nutrition so that those calories at the end of that long run or long cardio bout can be balanced. So most will increase their food intake and be completely out of whack when it comes to their nutrition and their caloric balance. And suddenly you're wondering why you're not running off the pounds. So this is a common misconception. And this is something that most people see these running programs and they're like, oh, I could just run to thin and I'm going to go ahead and do this and I'm going to become better. And most of these running programs don't incorporate some form of strength training. And when you don't incorporate strength training with specific cardio bouts, then you're missing a piece of the puzzle. It's like having a tripod standing up and you have your cardio, your weight training, and your nutrition, but you're just going to go ahead and toss out the concept of nutrition and weight training and you're just going to do cardio. Well, that particular stand is not going to work because you're missing two legs of the tripod. So that being said, please increase your weight training and have a balanced caloric intake. Try to make it so that if you do work out in the evening, you can compensate with more calories in the evening by balancing out your calories throughout the day. When it comes to it, science is science. It's more calories in versus calories out is going to make you gain weight. So if you need to lose weight or you want to lose mass, eat less. But make sure you're still in a balance that that you can survive with. It's sustainable. That's the big key. Now, next up, you can eat whatever you want as long as you work out. Now, I have this one sandwich right behind this. The running one is because they're literally on the same mental path of insanity. No, just because you work out doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want. Maybe from the age of like 13 to 25, that was the case when your body was built like a Toyota Tacoma and you could run it to hell and back, not even take an oil change, don't even do any of the regular upkeep and just let that thing run to hell and back. Yeah, eat whatever the hell you want. You probably were able to throw down a couple Big Macs before a workout and then go drink afterwards heavily and still see your six pack, right? But these things change over time. Your body goes through many changes. You don't just change when you have your puberty. You actually, when you go through puberty and that pubescent stage, you actually have multiple stages in which your body is adjusting and adapting. So when you go through these stages, suddenly your metabolic rate changes as well. And you're not burning things exactly the same. You're not recovering the same. And people think, oh, I'm just getting old. Well, there is a way to work with that and still see success and still see the gains that you want to gain. However, if you keep trying to do what you did when you were 18 to 26, yes, you're going to see terrible results. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And a lot of times people don't like to hear the truth, but it's so real, it's so honest. You cannot just eat whatever the hell you want and assume that when you're at this ripe age of 30 plus, that it's going to be okay. Yes, there are some outliers that have that ability. And if I was to say that no, nobody can do this, that would be irresponsible on my part as a fitness professional. There are some outliers that have that ability and can do that. But those are far and few between. And if you're finding yourself looking in the mirror and still not happy with what you see, and your doctors are still telling you, you still need to do X, Y, and Z, I'm betting that you are not one of those outliers. If you don't have the same physique and the same recovery rate that you once did, and you're having a harder time maneuvering through workouts or just maneuvering through your day, I'm betting you're not one of those outliers. I have a couple friends that are, and I fucking hate them. As a fitness professional, I know what I'm supposed to do and I work my butt off for it. And I see them and they're just like, oh yeah, I went out drinking last week. I'm like, bro, you're almost 40. Chill your shit. But yet they still can put it together. Their body looks great. They're still performing well. I don't know how they feel because I don't talk to them. But I can promise you that over time, these things will catch up because time, well, it's undefeated. So that being said, you cannot just eat whatever you want. This goes back to the can you outrun the pounds? No, you need to make sure that you have a systematic balance. Now, if you're looking at wanting to lose weight, then you need to make sure that your nutrition is set up so you could potentially lose a half pound to 1 pound of mass per week. Now, do you want to lose muscle mass or do you want to lose fat mass? That's a great question, right? You can adjust your nutrition so that it can focus particularly in one avenue. But here's the thing that I have to tell you that most people hate to hear. There's no such thing as predicting exactly what you're going to lose or where you're going to lose it from. It's very predictable on where men and women are going to gain their weight. It's very unpredictable on how it's going to come off. Our body is the most amazing, the human body in general, just the most amazing piece of machinery that you can ever, ever study. Its ability to adapt and its ability to maneuver through this thing we call life and allow you to stay upright, to adapt to all the poisons you put in your body. I mean, what else out there can do this? Our body has our best interest in mind, but there comes a point where that body starts to break down because there's only so much it can take. Now, often individuals just run their body into the ground. They get knee replacements, all sorts of stuff, and they treat their body like it's a car. Now, as I've said before, you can go get a new car. You cannot go get a new body. You may get a knee replacement or a hip replacement, but guess what? It's never going to be the same. Your capacity for range of motion or work for that particular joint is now gone. Anytime you get cut into to fix something, that lessens your body's ability to function in that general area. Now, there are times where that is the only route. But if I told you there's a way to prevent that, wouldn't you be more inclined to want to go that route? I bet you if I told you, if you got the most amazing car in the world, like a freaking Bugatti, whatever the hell you want to call it, and I told you this particular synthetic oil you could put in the car and it will never break down on you. It will always maintain the highest output possible. The performance is never going to fall. You buy that oil regardless of how much it costs because you want to make sure you can maintain the integrity of this car. You have that in your body. You have the most advanced piece of machinery that adapts to just about anything in just your body. And I'm telling you, and other fitness professionals are telling you, we have the method to be able to help you prolong your life and live a higher quality of life. And typically what we get met with is, well, you're going to cut me a deal. Or the best I've ever heard still to this day is everybody dies. Now, these are, this is a mentality that is so tough to deal with. And it comes to this foundation of these concepts of you can eat whatever you want as long as you work out. You could run off the pounds. If this was the case, then we would not have the obesity rates that we're dealing with today. We would not have the ailments that we're dealing with today. The pandemic that we're dealing with, roughly 6% are actual COVID-19 deaths. The rest of the deaths are other aspects that COVID-19 has exacerbated. If you have cardiovascular like propensity to like not be able to work out, i.e. asthma, well, guess what? You contract COVID-19, it's going to really exacerbate that. It's going to make it a lot more difficult to breathe. And I'm not a professional on this whatsoever. Just some of the things that I've researched and talked with some of my colleagues that are in the field. And the information they give me is if our society was in better shape, we would have a better chance at this. We're fighting it the best we can with a sick society. When our children's obesity rates are climbing into the 40% and our adults are up in the 50%, guess what? A pandemic like this is just primed to wipe out a lot of people. And it's really sad because we have the method to be able to prevent things like this. or at least lessen the blow. So retrain your brain. You cannot outrun pounds. You can't just run them off. And you cannot outtrain a bad diet. Like flat out, when it comes to the food intake, if you're taking high sugar, high fats, high saturated fats, if you're taking things that are like high processed foods, the level of glucose that comes with this style of eating, working out only burns off so much. And it puts you at a precursor for the diet, like all the blood cases and diabetes and things like that, that you just don't want. Staging off disease is what exercise, fitness, and wellness does for you. And instead, we're taking a piece of that puzzle. Once again, nutrition. We're taking a piece of that puzzle and saying, do whatever you want. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to basically compromise your entire life and eat just basically boiled rice, steamed chicken, and broccoli. Nobody can do that. Well, once again, there's outliers out there that can. However, I'm telling you that you need to find balance. Eating out every single day is not going to work. You need to find a way to cook. You need to find a way to know what to get. You need to have a balance. Don't call things cheat days, call it treat days. Have a treat day for yourself where you are going to just go off the rail and have some fun, but have a plan to come back to it. Because in the end, you still need to take care of your body. Your body is the only thing that's going to be there for you in the end. All these cool, fun things that you might be able to get, your body is always going to be there. You probably should take care of it, right? I mean, I don't blame individuals for saying this. If somebody tells me this particular thing of, oh, well, I can eat whatever I want and I'm good, I don't blame them. What I do blame is a lot of these Instagram models or a lot of these Instagram or social media trainers that keep posting these ridiculous nutrition plans and say, you can have this and show some shredded body. And I'm like, no, you can't. You need to have balance. Yes, you might be able to have that with a specific compromise, with a certain balance, but you can't have that every fucking day. And to think that you can is just ridiculous. Those particular individuals might be able to. Once again, they're in that particular age category that is like running a Toyota Tacoma, which I say that because Toyota Tacomas are known for being just ridiculous workhorses. And yeah, you can run those. I know from experience. I had a 4Runner. I ran it for 2 years without an oil change. That thing still hummed like nobody's business. It got stolen, ripped to fucking shreds, pieces pulled out of the fucking motor. It's still turned on. Your body's not that when you're 30 or older. I hate to break it to you. And if you're in that 18 to 26, guess what? There's an amazing PT trainer that talks about entering the tunnel. So you want to make sure you're moving right. Same thing goes for prepping your body for future health and wellness. You enter this tunnel eating like shit and not changing your habits, guess what? You're going to be coming out of that tunnel in the same boat, and it's going to be very difficult to change those things. Now, when it comes to these particular mindsets, the true factor in there is changing your habits, not restricting, because to be totally honest with you, and I tell this to all my clients with the company that I work with, as well as the clients that I see on a regular, restricting doesn't work for humans. And unless you're not human, then maybe it works for you. Once again, specific outliers out there. But restriction doesn't work, because if I tell you that you cannot ever have rice, you may not be somebody that typically eats rice, but at some point within a week, knowing that you can't have it, you're suddenly going to want it. It's because this weird little defiant thing in our brain says, well, why the fuck can't I have it? And it's been with us since kids. We're never actually truly explained why specific restrictions are in place. We're just told you can't. So as a kid, curiosity killed the cat, and you decide, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this. So you have to find ways to not restrict, but find balance, find compromise. curb certain things, test out potential restrictions. Don't just be like, I am no longer ever having a donut whenever I go shopping. Say, okay, I have to shop 3 times this month. 2 out of those 3 times, I'm going to make sure I don't have a donut. And then gradually you build on that success. And every little piece of success, celebrate the fuck out of it because you put in the work. And it is exactly that. It's work. Finding your balance, making a plan, making sure that you're not restricting, but you're finding balance and compromise. You need to change your habit. And you don't change it by just outrunning the pounds. And you don't change it by just working out more. Those are aspects that help. But changing your habit, that's where the real work comes. And that's when you can come work with me. So next up, the last one. Do fat burning zone workouts, the FBZ. You might see this with like a lot of different workout programs like, Orange Theory. Some CrossFits have been adapting this particular fat burning zone. And I think it's great as long as the concept behind it is not just staying within this particular range. Because to be like, if you really break down the nuances of the science behind it, working out between 55 and 70% of your maximum heart rate. So that means you've done a test to find out what your true maximum heart rate is. Everybody's different. This is not just cookie cutter, okay? So once you find that out, working out at about 55 to 70% of your maximum heart rate will optimize your fat burning zone. However, this means for that particular duration of time, you have really subsided your intensity. Now, if you've done these other workout programs, there's no subsiding your intensity, you're going. So that means that true fat burning zone has now been surpassed. Most of us are in our fat burning zone in our warm up or in our cool down, but that workout, we're not in a fat burning zone anymore. But that's not bad. And that's why this is part of one of those lies that are told to you. When you're working out, you are in caloric burning, like you're just burning calories. If you have reached a state where your body no longer has calories from what you've consumed through the day, then yes, you potentially can start burning on storage, hypothetically, right? However, when people say that you're going to be doing a fat burning zone workout, that would mean by definition, you could only stay between 55 and 70% of your maximum heart rate. So let's do some quick basic understanding of this. If I work out for an hour at 55 to 70% of my maximum heart rate, then I burn the quote unquote optimal amount of fat for that duration of time that I've now worked. If I come over here and I'm fluctuating between 90% of my maximum heart rate down to 60%, back up to 80, down to 70, and I'm fluctuating throughout for an entire hour, that means my maximum caloric burn has now just demolished this hour of 55 to 70% of maximum heart rate. I've just demolished it. And there's been numerous times where I've spiked and dropped and spiked and dropped in regards to my maximum heart rate. So now I'm not only hitting pockets of burning optimal amount of fat, but now I'm also burning maximum amount of calories. Now, if I have a workout that is 1 hour, 55 to 70% of my maximum heart rate, and it only burns 250 calories versus a workout that's 1 hour where I'm fluctuating between 55 and 90% of my maximum heart rate, and I burn 850 calories, which one do you want to take? I can promise you 1 hour of higher intensity and fluctuation in intervals, you're going to burn more fat. The one thing that we have to understand is there's no such thing as spot reduction, just like there's no such thing as truly predicting how much fat you're going to burn in a workout. The goal is to stay consistent. If you can maintain consistency throughout your workout intensities throughout the week, starting the week fairly high, and then making sure you understand that your body's recovery is actually taking effect on how your intensity comes to play. So whereas your 90% intensity on Wednesday, it should not be the same as your 90% intensity on Monday. The same goes for your programming. Your workouts should not be the same on Wednesday, intensity-wise, as they are on Mondays. Same goes for on Fridays. The ebb and flow of your program's intensity should inevitably change because of the fact that your body is in this constant ebb and flow of recovery and ability. So if you have this understanding, or if you're in a program that does have this focal point, then you should see optimal results. You should see progress. And you shouldn't have to worry about this whole eat whatever you want as long as you're training, because there's going to be nutritional advice incorporated into this particular ebb and flow of recovery. Your nutrition is huge in your body's ability to recover and progress. Your nutrition is huge in your body's ability to recover from cardiovascular bouts and weight training bouts. So the focal point is not just a free for all. And that's what those two previous lies imply. The focal point is making sure you have balance and making sure you understand what your intensity should be so that you're able to actually hit optimal fat burning and optimal caloric burning throughout your workouts throughout the week. When you have this understanding, or you and your coach have this understanding about you, the sky's the limit. Human potential is untapped. We don't know what you're actually capable of doing. The only thing you do know is that you know nothing about your body. You know when your cycle is if you're a female. You know, for males, when you're probably most moody and when you're not. We know how much we can lift at this particular point in time. We know how fast we can run at this particular point in time, but we don't know what our potential is because of the fact that we lack the consistency to be able to achieve that. Even with all the training I do, the consistency in one particular format of training is not there. When I ran track, it was specific. Everything I did was for that one thing. My nutrition, my weight training, every piece of training that I did was just specifically to run 400 and 800 meters as fast as freaking possible. Now I don't do that. I have a balanced training. I may not be as fast as I once was as a track athlete, and that's not necessarily just because of time, because I've seen 38-year-olds be able to put down some serious fast times. It's because that's not my focal point in training. I have a balanced approach. At one point, I used to be able to deadlift well over 600 pounds. Now I'm right at that 600 cusp, which is still pretty damn good. But my focus is not just that brute strength. My focus is a balanced approach. So when you can find that balance, that's when you're going to see true progress. And that's when you see these just ridiculous, like, stances on getting progress. You see these come across on your social media feed and you just laugh because you have the actual knowledge of where you can go and what you can do. So that is what we got for you. That is our 3 for the week. I'm going to maybe be putting those into a blog. Keep your eyes peeled for the mindful, the MOC mindful tips that will have some segue into this in regards to things that you could do. And then also I'm going to be dropping in one meal and recipe, as well as what that shopping list looks like for that particular meal on the MOC mindful tips. Because yeah, I feel like we should probably do that. And that nutrition pack will be dropping, once again, it's vegans, plant-based, and then also high protein. So those nutrition packs will be dropped November 1st when the app comes out too. And the app is not MOC Fitness. It's not Making Your Champions. I will let you know what it is as soon as we actually launch it, because right now I only have a bandwidth for so many to be able to actually keep up with everybody and test everything out appropriately. And then also one little tidbit that I leave you with, my running portion of the app, no, it's not, running off the pounds, but I have some cutting edge, a cutting edge thought that's going to help your intervals and your interval training when you're running be that much easier. That is all I'm going to leave you with. It is going to be amazing. Champion the shit out of your life. Keep your eyes peeled for the MOC mindful tips. And also jump on that MOC.com page, the www.mocfitness.com. Check out the blogs. And then also do me a favor when you do get the chance, go ahead and jump on in and give me a positive review. If you jump on the website, it'll be easier to do more positive reviews when we do the app. So I'm looking forward to that as well. All right, you guys, you have a great one. Champion the shit out of your life. Have a great rest of your weekend. And I'm looking forward to touching base with you guys next week.